Hello students. Today we're looking at topics in paper 1 of grade 12. We start with equations and inequalities. Equations and inequalities. So under equations and inequalities, we have quadratic equations, and inequalities, we have simultaneous equations, we have exponents and surds, and nature of roots. And then when we break down, we all know that our quadratic equations look like this. The highest power is to the power 2. So we have ax squared, a coefficient a, plus plus bx plus c equals 0. So this is how a quadratic equation looks. Usually we have, when we are solving the quadratic equation, we look for two numbers whose sum is equal to b and whose product is equal to a times c. So if we had an example of a quadratic equation, x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. This is our example. If we were solving this, we would ask ourselves, what two numbers have a sum of 5, this is our b, sum of 5, and a product of a times c, which is 1, the coefficient for x squared is 1, and this coefficient 6. So it's 1 times 6, which is 6. So which two numbers, when you add them up, you get 5, and when you multiply them, you get 6. Which two numbers can we think of? Let's start. We start with 1 and 4. When we add them, we get 5, but do we get 6 when we multiply them? No. Okay, what next number? 2 and 3. When we add 2 plus 3, we get 5. When we multiply 2 times 3, do we get 6? Yes. So this is it. It is 2 and 3. So we write this equation out again, x squared plus, we write this 5x as 2x plus 3x, right? Then plus 6, we bring down the 6, equals 0, right? So we bring out x here, x plus 2, plus, we bring out 3 here, x plus 2, equals 0. So when we take out x, we remain with x here. When we take out x, we remain with 2. When we take out 3, we remain with x. When we take out 3, we remain with 2. So our equation becomes x plus 3 times x plus 2 equals 0, right? So now we are getting the solution. The quadratic equation has two solutions. The first one is x plus 3 equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0. Thereby x is equal to minus 3, and here x is equal to minus 2. When the 2 crosses the equal sign, it becomes minus. When the 3 crosses the equal sign, it becomes a minus. So we have two solutions to our quadratic equation. Thank you. Okay, let's look at another example. We have this equation here, and we need to find the solutions. So the first thing we do is write it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So we rearrange this equation here to get it into this form. Already we have our x squared. We know our a is 1. Minus 7x. So we know our b is minus 7. Plus c. So when we take the 10 this side, that's when we have our c. When 10 crosses the equal sign, it becomes plus 10 equals 0. So now our a is 1, our b is minus 7, and our c is 10. Okay? So when we are solving the quadratic equation, we know that we are looking for a number, for two numbers, whose sum is b and whose product is a times c. So when we look at our numbers here, sum of minus 7 and a product of 1 times 10, which is 10. So which two numbers, when we add them up, we get minus 7, and when we multiply them, we get 10. Let's start. What two numbers do we add to get minus 7? Let's start with minus 1 and minus 6. When we add them up, we get minus 7. When we multiply them, though, we get 6. So this is not the combination. Let's try with minus 2 and minus 5. When we add them up, we get minus 7. When we multiply them, we do get 10. So this is our combination. Okay? So we write out the equation again. This equation, x squared minus 2x minus 5x plus 10 equals 0. This is our equation. We just opened it up, put in the 2 and the 5. This is the same equation as that. It's still the same. So we simplify, we bring out the x here. We have our x minus 2. And then here, let's say we bring out our minus 5. We say minus 5. When we bring out minus 5, we have our x. Minus 5 divided by 10, we have minus 2 equals 0. Then we have our two products equal to 0 as x minus 5 times x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, so after factorizing, we have a product equal to 0. X minus 5 times x minus 2 equals 0. Simplifying further, we will have x equal to 5 or x equal to 2. So that's our solution for the quadratic equation. Okay? So we've looked at the quadratic equation that's in this format. When we factorize, we get our two solutions. But we must also remember that not all quadratic equations have solutions, and not all quadratic equations can be factorized this easily. We will look at other methods for those that don't have such straightforward solution, okay? So now we want to look at factorizing when we have a difference of two squares. Okay. Okay, so now we have our formula this is a general rule that difference of two squares is equal to the difference of two squares, as shown above, a squared minus b squared, is equal to the sum of the sum times the difference. The sum of the two numbers times the difference. Okay. How can we just prove it quickly? Let's reverse. Let's go reverse. Let's say it's a into a minus b plus b into a minus b. We just want to prove that the right hand side equals the left hand side. Okay? So this is a squared minus ab plus ab minus b squared. Okay? So this cancels out because ab plus minus ab plus ab, this is 0. It cancels out. So then we'll have our a squared minus b squared. Hence the proof. So a difference of two squares is equal to the sum of the two numbers times their difference. Yeah. Okay, so given this equation, x squared minus 16 equals 0. We could write this out as a difference of two squares. Then it's x squared minus, what's the root of 16? Square root is 4. So 4 squared, x squared minus 4 squared equals 0. But we know that difference of two squares is equal to the sum of the two numbers times their difference. So it would be x plus 4 times x minus 4 equals 0. Okay? And then this is a product that's equal to 0. We factorized it. So now the two solutions is x is equal to minus 4 or x is equal to 4. Okay? Okay, so now we're looking at completing the square. Completing the squares aids us in tracing or drawing the graph of the quadratic equation we have. It aids us in getting the y-intercept and having the turning point. So it is one thing to solve and get the values of x, but it is another to get the y-intercept and get the turning point. So in this case, we could solve by factorizing to get our x values, but that would not be enough. We would need to know where they cross the y-axis, okay, to have the y-intercept. We will look at this in more detail ahead, but for now, let us learn how to complete the square, okay? There are steps that we have to follow to complete the square. We have to write the quadratic equation into this form. Y is equal to a x plus p squared plus q. Okay? So if it has to be written in this form, we start by bringing down this equation here, bring out the 3. You look at what is a common factor? If there's a common factor, we bring it out already. So we have y is equal to 3, x squared plus 4x plus 3. So we brought out the common factor 3. So now to complete the square, we look at the coefficient b, half it and square it. Then we add that and subtract it again so that we don't change the value of this equation. So in this case, it would be our 4 divided by 2 squared, okay, which is indeed 4. So we are going to add 4 and also take 4 out. Okay, so our new equation would look like this. Y equals 3 into x squared plus 4x plus 4 okay, plus our 3 minus 4, okay. So that would be 3 into x, when we simplify this now, x plus 4x plus 4, simplified, a number whose sum is 4 and product is also 4. What two numbers are those? It's only 2 and 2. So that would mean x plus 2 and x plus 2. Okay? And then our 3 minus 4 gives us minus 1. So that is our y equals 3 x plus 2 squared minus 1. Okay? So this 3 would multiply with both that and that. Okay? So we have y equals 3 into x plus 2 squared minus 3. So do you see how this and this are of the same format? Our a is 3, our p is 2, and our q is 3. Okay? We have completed the square there. Okay? So, if we had an equation where we were given this part and asked what would we use to complete this part, okay, how would we go about it? So given this equation, 0 equals x squared minus 8x plus what we don't know. And then if we were asked what would we put here to complete the square, what would we do? Remember, the coefficient b divided by 2 squared. Okay? So that would mean 0 is equal to x squared minus 8x. Our b is 8. So plus 8 over 2 squared. That would mean 0 is equal to x squared minus 8x plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So this is our quadratic equation.